We're going to open up now with an interesting talk about professional standards. So professional standards to promote your game and company, what every indie should know about best practices. So Seth from Pocket Pinata Interactive and Joel from RocketRide Games, the floor is yours.
Now you can clap if you want.
I was thinking about the old-fashioned round of applause. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we have prizes here for people we feel are interactive and ask smart questions. And you'll be answering these questions because we'll be pointing out to you and saying, you there with the blue hat, and then we'll ask you a question. That's how interactive this is. And all
blue hat always goes first.
That's right, that's true. If you can't handle it, the door's right there on that part. But honestly, this has been a conversation that Joel and I have had for a short matter, but Dave Bradley and I have had for years, and other people in the industry, is this is one of the few industries where professionalism lacks. It was never part of the culture. And so let's go to the background for that. We're going to give you the 4 subjects here really quick, a quick background on Joel and myself, and then tie back into these 4 subjects here.
Personal attire, professional presence, professional engagement, professional follow-up, and then we'll talk a little bit about us, and then we'll jump back and have a Socratic discussion around it. So I'm from RocketRide Games. Hi, my name is Joel. RocketRide Games is a boutique agency that helps developers and studios find investing in publishing. We do business development for them, but in addition to that, what makes us unique is that we staff really high-quality creative directors, executive producers, who work really hard, tirelessly to make sure that our developer partners games don't suck, and that
those are professionals, right?
Exactly.
Okay, good.
Yeah, and that they're you know, presenting themselves as professionally as possible for every business opportunity that we surface to them. Here's a list of our services. Please look us up after the show and feel free to contact me, or if you want to grab me in the hall, I can talk more about it. We have 55 plus deals signed. So I think we actually have closer to like 75 partners now, and we're approaching $100 million in deal value for our clients. Some of the projects that we've worked on, we have a great relationship with Netflix and with Apple Arcade, but have done some really cool stuff on other platforms as well. Doing some Homeworld Mobile for Gearbox. And about me, I have 20 plus years of experience in games and media. So prior to games, I've been in games for about 12 years, just in a business development capacity. Prior to that, I was doing film work, which frankly does have a certain sort of je ne sais quoi when it comes to presentation that is unique from games. I actually do like how much more relaxed games are, but I think that there's definitely a happy medium there.
Awesome. So, okay. So, Pocket Pinata Games, they are veteran game developers with a proven track record and work for hire. And they're now expanding out on that part. But as you see, this slide isn't as nice as Joel's on that part. That's because this took me a minute to copy and paste into it. Just in clarification on that part. So effort does, you know, build confidence. So we want to contrast and show you guys what we mean about professionalism. Go ahead to the next one. Some of the games that they have made, and I have seen a lot of their games that they have made. They have got a lot of family-friendly game studio professionals and a very family-friendly, very sophisticated studio layout. But it wasn't always that way when they first started. It was just friends of friends of friends, and we'll talk about that a little bit later in just a moment. And the next one, this is me. I've been 17 years in the game industry space, not the same way you guys have been. I've been in the Department of Defense, I've been in education, special needs, food, and automotive industry and banking. Not by choice, just because the way life went. But of all these industries that gaming is now involved in and is running synergistically as well too. So we can compare and contrast presentations and presence within those industries versus this one. So that's who we are on that part. We'll go back to the first one then.
Yep. Should we tell them?
I'll give them the definition right now. So just in case you guys know what we're talking from, here's the definition from the 1967 Rand McNally dictionary. Just so you're all on the same page. Some words don't mean the same as they should mean. Professional is this, engaged in an activity as a means of livelihood or for gain. A professional with a profession. Common sense. So what is a professional? Well, a professionalism aspect is the professional spirit, character, or methodology that they use. And the profession is an occupation, especially one requiring extensive education, and a professional is not the same as an amateur. And yet this is an industry where we see a lot of indies act as amateurs, and yet expect somebody like a publisher to hand them $500,000 for a game when they look like a slob. And people are like, that's judgmental. No, I've seen it at GDC even this year, where I brought Lance Prieb down to check out a game, and the guy wasn't even there at his booth. And the next game we look at, the guy had a torn shirt from the night before, ripped jeans, which is fine as an icon, but he had stains on his shirt. And this is a person presenting a video game, hoping for a publisher to give him money. That doesn't project confidence at all. So professional attire. Joel?
Yeah, I think the key point there is, like, this is a commercial industry, and it's one that's built on relationships, and it's one that's built on trust. And the old adage of you're never going to get a second chance to make a first impression definitely holds true when it comes to forging those relationships. And if you're at a conference and it's the time that you get to make that first impression, first in person, face to face, you want to be ready. You want to be ready to express passion for your game. You want to be ready to talk about why you think it's going to be a commercial success, but you also want to look and feel your best while you're doing it, right? And so I think it makes sense to invest a little time, effort, and energy in personal hygiene, because again, you'll never get a second chance to make that impression. And if you make a strong impression and you're able to build that relationship, that's where the commercial success is formed eventually, is through those one-on-one conversations. So.
Absolutely. So, gentleman right there in the gray shirt, I used to work for Ford Motor Credit Company. Which of us two is professionally dressed enough for a Ford automotive conference, event, that type of thing?
I would say you are.
And I'm close. I am missing a key element, though, right here. What would that be?
A tie.
There you go. Awesome. You well done. Well done. Here you go.
Your pants aren't khaki enough, but apart from that.
Hold on.
But yeah, I'd say a tucked in shirt too, belt, definitely.
Too short. Okay. Very well done on that part. Okay, so, but for the game industry, Joel's dressed very nicely. Very comfortable on that part.
Thank you very much.
No stains anywhere on that part, and he doesn't smell. And probably you're going, that's just bad. No. We've all been to PAXs. We've all been to Gen Cons, New York Comic Con, that type of thing. And as funny as that is something that seeps into people's brains. That guy had a cool concept. He smelled weird. I don't want to deal with him anymore.
Yeah, I agree. And and if you're doing branding, of course a t-shirt's okay if you're representing your company and, but bring several of them, not just for yourself, but for a publisher who likes it and wants to wear it themselves, they should have it as well. But so that you can freshen up and, take the time to take care of yourself, because you're the most important piece of the sale, so to speak.
And know your location. You can dress a certain way in North America, dress a certain way in Gamescom, Germany, but at G-Star Tokyo Game Show, it's completely different, what they expect. So if you're going to be showcasing your game in another regional area, go online and research it out.
Yeah.
Worst case scenario, you overdress. That's never a bad thing, unless it's 110 degrees and the air conditioning doesn't work.
Yeah, limit the number of scarves that you put in as swag, probably, in a hot environment.
Absolutely.
So how many people here are game developers? Show of hands.
Wonderful.
Very cool. And then how many people are publishers?
Ha.
Oh, awesome. So we can say whatever we want.
Absolutely. It's beautiful.
That's great.
So the next one. Presence. Presence is more than just yourself standing at a booth. Presence is eye contact. Hello. How are you doing?
I'm doing swell.
Wonderful.
Nice to meet you.
It's a handshake type of thing. It's a fist bump, right? There's contact, eye to eye. I can't tell you how many times I walked up to somebody at a game conference or an indie and they're looking down like this. So, and they won't even look at me eye to eye. This is my game, and I can't even hear them because they walked away.
Yeah, or they schedule a meeting with you, and it's at their booth, and they're just wrapping up their other meeting, and they don't look at you, they don't acknowledge you, they don't say, oh, I'm so sorry, can you please give me a few minutes, here's some reading material on the game. All those things are important, and like, I think the question is, it's like, of course, you know, we work in an industry with a lot of neurodivergence, and a lot of people aren't just naturally social, and that is totally fine. So what kind of accommodations do you think are important to make for yourself in that environment?
Lady in white.
Accommodations?
Yeah, self-accommodations. If you feel like you're not the most social person, but you want your business to succeed, and you want your game, you want to present yourself well and your game well, what do you do if you...
Say maybe take along a producer or a co-designer with you.
She got in one.
Yes.
My throwing sucks, so feel free to come up here and grab any which one you like.
Are you a Binding of Isaac fan?
Okay.
All right, please select a figurine from Binding of Isaac.
How many of you feel it's okay to eat at your booth? Haha. How many of you do eat at your booth?
Yeah, there he is.
Yeah. Okay. If you're one-on-one, it's hard to get away. There are no bathroom breaks at a conference. There's no coffee breaks. There's no break for you. If you're one-on-one, if it's just you, you're at that booth. The amount of opportunities you may miss is huge. I know, been there, done that. It's hard to do that. It's worse when I'm eating a piece of pizza or whatever, and I'm trying to tell you about my game.
Yeah.
Not very nice.
No, and I have really bad misophonia personally, so I'm super triggered by the sound of chewing. So,
Really? So
if we're on a video call, please don't eat around me. Thank you very much. But yeah, you gotta, again, it's about planning, scheduling, working that time to take care of yourself, proper hygiene, eating. Seems really basic, but we all miss it because we all get busy.
Absolutely. Part of presence is also your delivery. When you're going over to Asia, when I was at G-Star showing the game Wild Wings, every meeting I had, we had a gift to give them from the artists, to hand out to them, type of thing. It's amazing actually how many of those people actually had gifts for us ahead of time, because that's part of the culture over there. Would I do that at Gamescom? Not at all. But at G-Star in Tokyo? Absolutely. Just small things like that. When we had the Pix Bricks vending machine toy, something that cost me 17 cents, and handed it to them for it, they actually, I've got a video of this, the guy painted me a Sumi painting right there on the floor.
Wow.
The artist. It was the coolest thing. I have it framed in my house, because he wasn't expecting an American, a gaijin, to know that on that part. So part of your presence, just as in your physical look and everything, is your actions in the region, the area you're at as well too. That's huge.
Yeah, that's great. I love that story.
Now, engagement. This is not presence, this is engagement. This is showing up on time. Now, at GDC there are parties. Parties that go late into the morning.
Too many parties.
Are you still responsible for showing up on time? Yes. You may have a hungover, whatever. You need to be there. Unless you are wealthy.
Yeah, well, and if you absolutely can't be there, what do? You make other arrangements, you apologize, you don't ghost people.
Right. Publishers have that problem as well too. What's interesting about this industry, and compared to the Department of Defense, the toy industry that I've been in, even in the food industry on this part, is this industry feels it's okay not to follow up. Go weeks or weeks or weeks. You are not that busy. They know they're not that busy. You have a smartphone. You can send a text, WhatsApp, whatever, just a few seconds. Just even an email takes all of less than a minute to do.
Yeah.
And I love to hear, oh, I forgot. You have a calendar, type it in.
Yeah.
That shows promptness, that shows courtesy. That's another confidence builder, especially for an indie to a publisher that says, hey, I understand your time is valuable, And if I can see that, then you can see that I understand that. You'll understand that I'll get this game done on time within the milestones. Or if I can't, I'll communicate with you on how that will be.
Yes, yeah, and I would say to that end too, like, don't be afraid to set rules of engagement up with them as you're interacting with them. Can I get an email address? What should I expect in terms of getting feedback from you and your team? What's your process like? What's the best way for me to communicate to you? When can I reach back out without being annoying? These are all perfectly fine questions to ask. The idea is to, find a way to create a word for them to honor, and then hold them accountable to that, and hold yourself accountable to reaching out. It's super important.
It's amazing how many few people do that. You, sir, in the blue shirt, I'm holding a very archaic form of communication here. Do you recognize this?
From here, I'm going to assume it's a business card.
Absolutely. My question for you on this business card is that should I have a blank white side of my business card? Yes or no?
I'm going to say yes so that they can write down a phone number.
Absolutely correct. Come on.
Yeah.
I'll grab that as well, too.
You can get 2.
As archaic as this wonderful thing is, there are still generations of people, all of you, can we say young people? They are mostly young in this audience. If not, they feel young on that part. Even though we can do this through LinkedIn and everything else with QR codes, et cetera, there are still a generation or two away. These things are very, very helpful. I have stacks of these babies. I still go back to them for notes. You will forget things at a conference, but if you quickly write it down, there's 2 things that shows for your professional engagement. One, you've listened to the person who's been talking to you and you've took a note down, and they see that. Make them see that.
Yeah. And I would say too, like, while it's great to save trees, the digital QR code method can be ineffective because people don't always remember your name, right? So even if they end up storing your contact information into the phone, they might forget who it was that they talked to. They might really want to reach out to you and be like, oh, darn it, I was drunk at that party, but they seem so cool, and now I completely lost their information because I can't think of who they are.
Drunk writing is very fun to remember the next day. I've never done that, but I've seen the business cards where that's written down. And it's like reading hieroglyphics, but at least it's on there, and deciphering it somewhere later is a lot of fun as well, too. Gentleman in the beard and the black right there, there you go. Thank you, sir. Awesome. Question for you. Do you ever run out of business cards? Yes or no?
Me personally?
Personally, at a conference, the question is, should you ever run out of business cards at a conference? Yes or no?
Ideally, no.
Right.
I have brought enough backups.
But what happens when you get down to 1? What do you do?
That's a good question. I guess you hold on to it and let people take a snapshot of it or something?
Yes, absolutely. Great answer. Come on down.
Yeah.
You have smartphones. They take pictures.
Coming up with the
You're
right
down to
answer
your
on the
last
fly.
card. You tell the person, hey, we've been so busy. I'm down to my last card, but you can take a picture of this. So they have yours. You always want to keep on to a business card. You never want to use your last one. At all.
Hey, Caruso calendars, binding of Isaac characters.
Those are limited edition on eBay. They're $99.95. Awesome. Okay. Anything else on professional engagement?
I'm good.
Parties?
Oh, yeah. I mean,
there is that. Social media on parties.
Yeah.
Your face, your presence is everywhere.
Well, not only that, but, don't do things that you regret. I think it's important to have fun, and, everybody wants to hang out and be social and establish those relationships. It's really difficult when it's loud, but I would say, again, take care of yourself. Don't overconsume. Wait until you're away from the industry event with your friends and go nuts and do whatever you do. But I highly discourage it because you've seen people's careers suffer as a result of the actions at industry events. So we want to avoid that.
And that's not just the game industry. I've seen 2 generals' careers disappear because of some social media engagements that they took pictures of at actual events. So it's other industries as well, too. Do not think you're too big or too small to be noticed by that.
Yeah, I agree. Follow-up.
Follow-up.
Yeah, we did touch on this a little bit, but I think there's an area that we didn't touch on as much. And, you know, since there are no publishers in the room, as far as I know, they suck at follow-up. They just do. They're really, really bad at it. Of course, they all have, you know, limited portfolios that they're able to offer the world, right? Maybe at most 10 games a year for a sizable publisher. And then they're all getting hundreds of thousands of pitches, right? And so what makes your game special? Well, I still feel genuinely like they could commit to providing one sentence, and they're not too busy to just say, I won't get to look at this for a few weeks. Please follow up with me then. Something like that. It's exceedingly important.
And the caveat is, of course, there are some good ones and bad ones. We will not mention any names up here. Afterwards, you can talk to us later. We'll chat about that privately. But in regards to follow-up, it's amazing that at some of these events when I meet with publishers and they've already been sent the pitch deck a month, couple weeks in advance, and we're going over it, and they said, yeah, I know that. And then halfway in, I realize that they just realized that they never went to the pitch deck. So we got to start back over again. So that professional follow-up goes on publishers as well too. You will see that happen, and you will want to.
Yeah.
And you can't do that.
Yeah.
You have to show professionalism on that part.
And like, so there's something I learned in the film industry being like a virtual slave to a producer for 2 years. And that is that you always 100% of the time acknowledge the receipt of a communication.
Yes.
You absolutely must do this. And so many people don't. And it's very, very frustrating. But if you don't actually say, thanks so much, got it, then no one knows that you got it. So that call and response is actually super vital.
So, question, lady there in the corner in the white, when you send an email out and you have not gotten a response back, how many days do you think you should go before you send out another response?
I would say 3 days.
3 days.
Ooh, that was a little aggressive, but I think it's fine, though. I think 3 days is fine.
Well, would you put it in just more of just a hey, how's it going? Or would it be like, you suck, where's my answer? Or what would your message be within 3 days?
How would you compose the message after that length of time?
I guess it depends if it's crucial, like if it's a deadline kind of situation.
Yeah, you haven't heard from them.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's say you've submitted a milestone for approval. They contractually have, let's say, 15 business days to respond, and you only have 10 business days to remediate whatever the issue is with that particular milestone deliverable. And it's been 3 days, and you haven't heard from them. How do you feel in that situation?
I think I would feel very pressured.
Absolutely, on that part. So you would write in your email, what do you think, what would you write as a couple sentences, or just even a sentence? And yes, we're putting you on the spot, we know.
I would say like, hi, person's name, I hope you're doing well and everything's fine with you. Like, I'm still waiting for that answer.
And it's a very polite response on that part. Absolutely. You may come down and grab a prize as well, too.
Yes.
Absolutely. 2 weeks later, we picked up on the beginning. We never actually asked him a question. Man in the blue hat.
Ah, the man.
You have not got an answer now in 2 weeks after you've submitted your pitch. What do you send? And notice I didn't say not what you would like to send. What do you send?
Something that is kind of along the lines of, I haven't heard back from you, but I'm curious as to what your thoughts are on the previous email, or something along those lines. I think it depends on the relationship you have with the individual, if you've worked with them before, or if they're a brand new acquaintance. Because as a brand new acquaintance, you want to be more kind of easing into it because you don't want to scare them away, but at the same time, you want to make sure you were heard. So
you want to be firm in that aspect. Would you point out the fact that you have an attorney on record, or the contract specific paragraph and sentence that they are in violation or could be in violation of yet?
Yeah, I guess in this scenario, you've already established a relationship with them.
Right.
Okay. And there is a expected feedback and rapport already established as well. What would you do in that particular scenario?
Yeah, I think I'd want to lightly acknowledge the fact that I'm putting forth effort to reach an end point, and their effort is not matching mine, and that's kind of where I would establish that.
Thank you, because yes, you have the right to be firm. You're an ND. NDs feel they get pushed around. They can't ask these hard questions. Sorry, you have a contract. You have a contract. You have a legal right to get this done. They have a legal right to get back to you. Own that. It is okay to own that. It is professional to own that. It's professional to point this out to them politely, but it is professional on that part to remind them. Because unfortunately, in this industry especially, the same yahoos rise up. It's a peer principle on that part.
Yeah.
You may come down and grab a prize.
Yeah, that was well done. Well done. So there's a question.
Yes. Lady in green. You had your hand raised.
Had your hand raised?
Oh yeah, you can gently, you can gently imply what the problem is.
Yeah.
Hey, it's
That over there.
so it's just checking in that we're still on schedule. You always do it with the benefit of the doubt whenever possible. To state that you believe that the other person intends to carry through with good intentions.
Yeah.
That way they want to live up to that, but it also gently reminds them of whatever the thing is.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, and then if you feel like the benefit of doubt that you have extended to them, if it's been violated at that point, then how do you respond once they're still ghosting you?
The temptation to go to social media with this. 38 Studios comes to mind. I can say that one because they don't exist anymore.
Yeah.
But yes, avoid that temptation. But you and I have both seen deals blow up halfway through, even after funding, and the temptation to go and blast somebody. Yeah.
Don't jump on
the old adage, if you're going to send an email out to somebody, think on it for a day. If it's a negative in some ways, is apt on that part. Now I get to date myself on this part because I have kids who are out of the house and married because I'm old. I'm not old. They're old, actually, in that part. So, everything's by text. No, not everything should be by text. Yeah, a phone call is professional, not a text.
But I would say too, though, like if you've established a partnership with someone, I think it is really important that you have as much access to them as possible, and it's not unreasonable to get their phone number and to be able to text them and develop that kind of relationship where you do text, because then some of those questions can get answered a little easier.
Absolutely.
What are your thoughts on, at least in prior professional experience, in situations like that? I've been told, and kind of used this to my benefit, just giving them a deadline, basically, like, hey, quickly following up on this, could you please do whatever you were supposed to do? Not saying that, but by end of day Friday, because we have X, Y, and Z to do.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely professional and fair.
Oh, absolutely. So do you have anything that could point to that you've seen in action? Under, RocketRide, of course.
Like a specific example?
Yeah. Well, without naming names.
Nothing immediately comes to mind, because it is frequently like that is the case. We're a deadline-driven industry, right? And so every week there are deadlines that get missed because of people's inactivity on a project, right? And I think it's just about putting forth, look, we're holding ourselves accountable. Our reasonable expectation of you is that you do the same, right? And I don't think it's unfair or unprofessional to ask that.
It kind of gets rid of that wiggle room too. By just
yes,
for sure. Yeah, right. And then when the deadline comes and goes, you have another opportunity to reach back out and ask what's happening.
Before we let you go, you guys have been a great answer on this give and take, and we appreciate that very much. I would implore you that future conferences you go to, it's amazing how many professionals never ask questions. Ask questions on that part, especially for indies. Ask the publishers questions, get on them. That gives them a boost of confidence if you know what to ask and you feel that you have the right to ask these things to them. Indies should never get pushed around. You're not less than because you're not an EA. It's a professional environment, treat it that way, and that respect will definitely come back to you. Maybe not right away, but the more professional you are in your appearance, your mannerism, your follow-up, that percolates through. And if you're going to treat this as a career path, years down the road, we remember that. I've got 12 business cards from one gentleman who's bounced around this industry. I'll never work with them, but every other conference I see them, they're another company, and they do the same old thing, and they don't know why they get fired. So there we go. Yes.
Well, it's not really a question, it's more a comment going back. You said about writing on the back of the card.
Yes.
But you also mentioned a lot Japan and Tokyo Game Show. I want to comment, do not write on the back of your card in Japan. It's extremely impolite.
Yes, in Japan, you do not write on the back of the card, at least not there. Back in your hotel room, maybe, on that part. And then you hand it with 2 hands. And then you do not put it in your back pocket because you don't want to sit on their face. It goes in the front, the side of the jacket on the front, or you hold it if you have no pocket to put it into.
Or have a card holder.
Or have a card holder, yes, absolutely. And you can find those at Goodwill for 99 cents. I know because I found them on that part. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're good. Thank you, sir. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much. That was a lot of fun. Appreciate you guys.